Good damn afternoon, Americans. Jericho Green here with you once again. And tonight is the night, ding, 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 the final round before the brawl for it all. The last presidential debate before the election coming up very soon, less than 2 weeks. Wow. You just can't say it enough. This election is the biggest one in our lifetimes. There's so much at stake. There's so much corruption and deception by the Democrats if they get into office. I don't even like to say that shit out loud, but it hasn't been done yet. This is like in a movie where there's this horrible scene where the main character gets killed and you're like, what the fuck? They just killed the main character. Then they zoom out and it was just the main character's dream. And you're like, oh, okay, that shit really didn't happen. So it hasn't happened yet. We can still stop it. We can still play Sarah Connor. We can still play her and save the world. We can save America. November 3rd has not happened yet, so we still need to do our part. Also, until November 4th, there is a sale on green gear. I got some new designs. I'm working with a guy at Teespring. We came up with some good stuff. I got some sweet and sour sniffles gear, and it's like the little takeout Chinese food container, and it says sweet and sour sniffles. Is tight. Please check it out. All your green gear, 25% off until November 4th. Offer code all in for 2020, all caps. I mean, that pretty much says it right there. We have to be all in. We all need to show up November 3rd at the polls. I got my mail-in ballot. My wife and I filled them out. She dropped them off in the ballot box at City Hall. Do not trust the mail. The post office is telling you, don't do it. The post office is telling you, no. All right? Drop them off or vote in person. All your green gear, new designs, 25% off. Offer code all in for 2020. Now this awakening, we always hear about people being woke. Well, the real awakening is happening, and it's a bit of a domino effect. Yeah, these athletes, mainly athletes. I haven't seen too many actors coming around. They're trying to cancel Chris Pratt, but he's not. That's no surprise. He's conservative. He believes in God and family. But what an asshole, right? So they're trying to cancel his ass for that. Not too many actors, but some athletes. The Ice Cubes, I would still say he hasn't changed, but at least he's trying to work together with the other side and make things happen. 50 Cent. And now this MMA fighter named Jorge Masvidal, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'll put a link to the video in the description box. He lays it out real concise, real neat, very understandable terms. He leaves no question to who he supports and why. Not just who he's supporting, but he also tells why. And he's talking to the Latino people. He's saying we can't be fooled. We can't keep accepting this bullshit, these empty promises. He's like, they think they have our vote in the bag. He's like, you need to do more than play Despacito on your fucking cell phone on stage, which Biden really did. That's not a joke. This man was up there talking to some Latino people, and he pulled out his cell phone and played this hit song at the time called Despacito. Yes, this is happening in real life, in real time. But he says, fuck that. We cannot let the greatest country the world has ever seen be destroyed. That's what he said. The greatest country the world has ever seen. Imagine that. What a coincidence that the best of the best from around the world at one time made the greatest country that the world has ever seen. Period. It's not even close. There is no second place to America. It's America, 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 and then America. And all the runners up are America. This is the greatest show on turf on earth. All right? We need to keep it that way. There are people at our door trying to tear it down as soon as possible. They remind me of the RDCs when I got to boot camp. As soon as you pull up, as soon as that bus goes, you hear those brakes? The RDCs are reaching inside of the door. It hasn't even been open yet. They're reaching inside the door, trying to rip it open so they can get inside and get to these long-haired, undisciplined pukes that they are about to fuck up for 3.5 months. That's how the Democrats are. They are tearing at the door, trying to rip it open to get to our warm, gooey insides and fuck our country up. They're not playing. The reason they don't care about fucking this country up is because they will not be affected. They will be in power. They will sit in their ivory towers and laugh at us with our wheelbarrows full of money trying to buy a loaf of bread. Because you would think, why would these people in power enact policies that would destroy its own people? Well, that's because they don't play by these rules. So they don't care what happens to us as long as we keep the tax revenue coming. We have the power to stop that from happening. We need to do it. And this MMA fighter, Jorge Masvidal, has a good message. Like I said, I'll put the link in the description box. You can see it yourself. It's powerful shit. We need to hear more of it. Also, Biden's Pervertus Jr., Hunter the crack smoker. The other night, Rudy Giuliani was reading some text messages that he allegedly found on this laptop where it's allegedly text messages between Biden's Pervertus and Jr., and they're talking about how his mother-in-law doesn't want him around some 14-year-old member of their family because he exposed himself. And they don't want her near him because he will be walking around the house naked, smoking crack. This is what Mayor Rudy Giuliani was reading online the other night. And due to what he found on said laptop, he turned it over to the Delaware State Police. And he said that there were inappropriate images of children and things being done to children on that laptop. So there's some shit, and I heard the FBI had this for a while and did nothing. And people are saying, well, the Republicans and Giuliani, they're just releasing this at the right time strategically. So that's not the problem. I wouldn't care if the shoe were on the other foot and the Democrats had something like this. The FBI should have acted on that shit. How are you going to go after a Joe Schmo citizen where this is the Federal Bureau of Investigation? They investigate. I would say this is worth investigating. As far as his son smoking crack, I don't care about that. That's his mind, it's his lungs. I don't give a shit. The kids, the connection to his father, using his power and influence to help his son, that I do care about. That is illegal. That is the same thing that they impeached our president for and tried to have him removed for something less than that. So the fact that he's a crackhead, I could give a shit. That's his mistake. I never seen a healthy crackhead. But the corruption, and there's this video of it. I've talked about it before. Biden talking about how he was withholding $1 billion from the Ukrainian government until they fired a prosecutor that was going after his kid. There's evidence. Why do the mainstream mediocres do this? When there's evidence that Trump didn't say, yeah, grab a woman by her pussy if you want. There's evidence to the contrary. Ignored. There's evidence that Biden committed treason. What they call it, high crimes and misdemeanors. Ignored. I truly believe Trump's second term, along with continuing to make this country great, keeping this country great, watching out for the American people, keeping us first. I know. Who would have thought that was even possible? Aside from that, I think his second term is going to be like, I don't give a fuck. You guys are going to jail. All you guys, you're going to see people marched out of their homes in their gated communities. They don't seem to have a problem with walls. They're going to be taken out with the jacket over their handcuffs so you can't see them, or their head like this, trying to cover their face, while their name is being shouted by the reporters over and over again, and they do the watch your head when they push them into the back of that fucking FBI vehicle. I think that's what's going to happen. I think that they were scared of this man in his first term. Scared isn't the word for his second term. That's why he needs to be in there. This is where he pulls the plug on the swamp and it starts swirling. He's going to empty it. I told you, the Taliban believes in Trump. They said he's proven himself as a man, a leader that keeps his promises. And he said he's going to get the troops out of here, and we believe him. So why shouldn't we? Now, let's talk about a couple of turds. Troy Aikman, former quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. Fuck the Cowboys. And Joe Buck, right behind Chris Collinsworth. I can't stand those two piece of shit commentators. Well, these fools were hot mic'd, or meaning their mic was still on, but they didn't know it. And so they did the military flyover, and they were talking about, there's your tax money. There's your wasted tax dollars with the flyover. And then you hear Troy Aikman say, you won't see any of that with a Biden-Harris ticket. What do you mean, pride in our nation? Flyovers? Are they going to cancel it? I don't think he was talking about canceling flyovers. I think they were being the beta males that they are. Big, bad, scary Trump making all those bombs and planes. Well, those bombs and planes keep you safe. They provide the environment in which you can say this stupid shit and not have some arm of the government come behind you with a burlap sack for you never to be heard from again. That waste of tax money, that waste of our tax dollars is showing pride in our country and our military. That's what it's doing. That's a waste of our tax money. You guys are a waste of space. But since they're towing the Bidenist pervertist and Kamala the Ugandan nightmare line, they will be untouched. The mainstream mediocres won't go after them. And I'm not saying they need to be canceled or boycotted. But what they said needs to be called out by the mainstream mediocres. If these two were supporting Trump, you already know how that story ends. You already know what would happen to them in their career, which isn't right either way. But for this to be ignored, it's the hypocrisy. That's the problem. It's the hypocrisy. Are servicemen and women hurt by what they said? Fuck no. They could slap the shit out of those clowns, those soft handshake clowns. People who serve veterans like myself, are we hurt? Are we offended? No, but it's the hypocrisy. If the shoe were on the other orange foot, you already know it'd be over. Like Bill Burr said, they'd be standing there with a box full of their shit and an Emmy sticking out talking about, I'd like to apologize. And that's fucked up. Nobody needs to have their career ended or be doxxed or whatever, or be deemed radioactive and nobody ever wants to work with them again because of what they say. But if you're going to go after one, you got to go after the other. So fuck them both. Neither one of you can make it 5 minutes in any boot camp. You'd be looking for a bell to ring so your punk ass could go home. Now, let's finish this with a cherry on top of this disgusting left coast California San Fran shithole Sunday. If you like to go to Walgreens in San Francisco, you better hurry up because they're all probably going to be closed soon. 3 more are being closed. Why? Because of COVID? Because of the sweet and sour sniffles? No. Well, that's part of it. But mainly because it has Democratic, liberal, weak leadership. And I use that word very loosely. Elected officials, we'll call them that. They're closing down because they're being robbed and the city's not doing shit about it. These stores are losing like $1,000 a day in theft. And if someone steals less than $950 worth of stuff, it's a misdemeanor. It's a slap on the wrist. No bail, right? You're running businesses, you're running money and commerce out of that city. You're taxing people out of that city. That used to be a great place to go. It's a disgusting shithole on its way to third world status. The only people you're looking out for and catering to is the criminal and homeless element. Sometimes those go hand in hand. As the news station is doing the story, some piece of shit comes in the store, hops the counter, which no one's behind. Counters are empty. It looks, and even in the story, they go, no, this is not, when the pandemic first hit and everything was wiped out. No, this is today at a Walgreens in San Francisco somewhere. And as they're saying that, dude hops the counter, takes an air purifier or something, some box, leaves, gets on his scooter, scoots right on out the front door. Nobody said shit. And the poor employees, they're not allowed to do anything, nor should they have to. You shouldn't have to deal with this fucking mentally unstable element that's allowed to come into your store. What needs to happen, there needs to be a police presence there that lets people know this is not the place to steal from. There's law and order in this city. If you break the law, you're going to jail, and you're actually going to, you're actually going to have to stay there. Yay! You're going to have to stay there and serve your time unless you can bail yourself out. And if the legal system is too expensive for you, then stay out of it. Don't be stealing shit from Walgreens. Don't be stealing a humidifier from Walgreens, you asshole. But this is the environment that's being fostered in these cities, especially San Francisco. You can take a shit on the sidewalk, people. If you have a weird fetish where you can't get off unless you can take a shit on a public sidewalk, San Francisco is the place for you. Needles and shit, California is the place for you. You will flourish there. Flourish. 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 You'll do well there. It will be your Disneyland. If you like to take a ropey shit, but it has to be in public, preferably on a sidewalk in an overpriced Democrat-run city, you need to head to San Francisco right now, because that's the place for you. And if you're lucky enough to have a thing for shitting on the sidewalk and stealing with no repercussions, get to San Francisco. They're waiting for you. They got a clean sidewalk that needs your shit on it. And they got shit on their shelves in Walgreens that they need you to steal. You'd be a fool to have a business in San Francisco. They're coming for you. If you're not homeless, crazy, and a criminal, they don't give a shit about you. This proves it. And in there's a video of it, of the news channel that covered it. And one of the guys is like, there's people here, there's elderly people here that use these Walgreens to get their medication. And if they're closed, where are they going to go? We don't give a shit because you're a tax-paying citizen. You mean nothing. Shut your mouth, avert your gaze, and give me your money. And we accept this. Disgusting. Anyway, tonight, the debate, I think it'll be better. I think they both got 2 minutes to talk, and then while they're talking, their 2 minutes, the other one is muted, and then they have 15 minutes to respond and go after each other. I hope it's not a lot of talking over each other. I hope that it's a decent moderator this time, and I hope that Trump will allow Bidenist pervertist to hang himself, because once whatever drugs they had him on last time, once they wear off, the same old mushmouth hard candy sucking Joe is gonna show up. The I don't know where I'm at. Hey, is this the mall? He's coming. So wait for him. When he shows up, let him do the heavy lifting for you. But you know how it goes. I try to be done with the left, but they just won't let me. Please subscribe. Hit that notification bell, because every time it rings, a piece of shit liberal cries. Get your Jericho Green notification tone. Link in the description box. Utilize the PayPal link and the Teespring link to get your green gear. I am Jericho Green. Man, I'm out.